Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Ko-Fi, crypto and Patreon link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using Slack accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Refracted Curvature and Neil?
Yeah.
That's it?
Let's get it on.
Good morning.
Yeah, did I get that wrong?
Pretty soon it's just going to be Neil because. Pretty soon it's just going to be you, Neil, because
maybe you say it 3 more times, Neil. Union meeting. Union meeting.
I was going to say quickly, it's just going to be you.
Talking through me.
Maybe if Righteous would stop talking through you, repeating the same thing 4 times. Yes, that would be good, Righteous. Do you mind?
Maybe I was going to say something after that.
Maybe. Go ahead, Righteous.
I was just going to point out that John Sullivan said he may be taking a little bit of a break, so in that case, it may just be Neil at one point.
And then if I annoy Neil enough, it might just be me.
For that?
Yes, he did, yes. Go ahead, Neil.
This is ridiculous. Where is the whole panel? Where is the G Plus panel? What the hell is going on here? I think Righteous is onto something. What were you saying, Righteous, earlier today? I think we got to look internal.
No, my sole focus was if you can grow among censorship. That was basically it. Okay. And if you can't grow during censorship, then we know it's possible. And if you know it's possible, well, you know the rest. Simple, right?
Okay, so in the pre-show, for the audience's benefit, we were discussing whether or not Whitsit's rise to fame, according to Neil, is solely because he punts ether and therefore is being promoted up the wazoo. Now, John's response to that was to say no. When Bob Nodell died, there was a giant ether-shaped hole that Whitsit could step straight into, gaining him popularity in the short term. That's it. Now, that's where we've got to so far. Righteous's overarching point was to say, number one, I don't know if this was part of the question, but I'm going to phrase it that way. Are we being censored? And number two, if we are, is there a way to grow faster than we already are? Because this particular channel is already growing, as I made absolutely clear at the end of the pre-show. Just not growing fast, especially with me having lots of things standing in my way over the last year or so. But that aside, Righteous's question is, what could we do to grow more? Or, conversely, are we simply just censored too much? There we go. There's the discussion. Now we're into the live show. It's definitely relevant to the subject of flat Earth. Earth is measured flat, if you're new here. That's how your globe face was made. But we'll carry on with this discussion.
I was pertaining to what Righteous said last, when he said maybe we need to look internally. And not having a full panel at the beginning of the show, I know there's no obligation, but does anybody care anymore?
Well, that's
it's all right, Neil. We got Discord. Sorry about that. Go on, John.
I laughed.
Well, that's the thing. The understanding you come to after the excitement wears off. You know, how long can you repeat the factual statements before you kind of get complacent?
I think we should revert back to doing housekeeping on a regular basis, personally.
Me too.
I think housekeeping
Wait, are you
kept us
guys
frosty.
are you guys all looking at me?
Well, you were the one who suggested that it was a bit old in the tooth.
Well, yeah, I said that. I think Chocolate backed it up a little bit, but ultimately, you guys, Nathan, you called the final shot, so I'm behind you.
I didn't make any official
Well,
decisions.
we got a Glober in the chat.
I just gently faded it
sorry.
out to see how it would go. But I missed doing housekeeping. I've got to be honest. I preferred when it was a halfway house, which is to say we did a couple of questions a day, and I varied them each day. That was my favourite. Doing all of the housekeeping questions, I agree, gets tedious. If I limit it to a couple of questions a day, I think that's the best compromise. And then throughout the week, you get the full barrage of housekeeping done, a couple a day. That's my attitude, but obviously, we'll see how this week goes.
Mighty Mush.
Nathan, we have a Globehead in the chat. Maybe he can answer a few housekeeping questions.
By in the chat, do you mean in the VC?
In the VC, that's right.
Who's the globe believer?
Bilu in the bushes.
Bilu in the bushes.
He's pretty active in the main text chat
Bilu in the bushes
all
is
day.
familiar with us because he must have been here long enough to know who Bilu is.
He's all day, every day in a text chat. So maybe he wants to pipe up a little bit, answer a few housekeeping questions.
What say you, Bilu? Do you want to do a few housekeeping questions? See how you get on? Bilu, are you aware that you're in a voice chat? Shaking my head from side to side. Why do people join the voice chat? Just sit on mute when they're directly addressed.
If this was Witsit, he'd gotten him to talk by now.
What is it with you and Witsit today, Neil?
You know, Neil may have a point because we got this guy named Jesse, and he's active in our voice chat, and he's also active in our text chat. And then I remember I seen him on like German, and I'm like, wait, he's active on German and he's not active on here. Anyways, just an observation.
What does that tell you, Righteous? They pick and choose who they're going to speak to. Do you think anybody that's a globe believer wants to speak to Nathan? Contraire.
Oh, clearly not. We're trying to address
He
Bilu.
says he's in a library.
Bilu sat in a voice chat, not making any discussions. There we go. Good call, Mush.
He says he's in a library. He can't talk.
Why are you in a
outta
voice chat
here.
then? Just kick him out. It's just waste of space then. Why are you in the voice chat? Voice chat. Does the name not give it away? I'm going to go into a library and then join a voice chat and tell them I can't talk because I'm in a freaking library.
It's the same thing with the guys that seek out David Weiss and Jaron to debate. They pick and choose. Nobody's gonna pick a fight with Mike Tyson in his heyday. Nobody.
Do the hyenas go after the main lion? No, they do not. They go after the weak and sick ones at the back of the pack. That's the ones they go after. Yeah?
That's an even better analogy than mine. I like that one.
Of course. You can spot sickness and weakness a mile away. When these people are like, oh, I'm so wonderful, this very famous YouTuber's decided to pay me attention. Yes, they can take the piss out of you, you're just too stupid to know it. I don't know. I used to get people contacting me, not so much in recent years or in the recent last year, let's say, saying, would you do an interview? Would you come on my show? And I always say no, because you can sniff them out from a mile away. You're not my friend. You're not here to promote me. You're not here to do me any favours whatsoever. You want me to be in front of you so you can take the piss out of me. That's what you want. And all of the examples that have come out in recent years, I'll say Vice, the interview I did, the only one I accepted, because the person who was contacting me and actually did the interview with me and arranged the questions, that person seemed sympathetic, seemed interested. Now, they might have put weird theremin music over the top of me, But other than that, what I said was what I said, and it wasn't massively edited. And I was happy with what I said at the time. Now I'd go back and change a massive amount of it. But back at the time, I was very happy with what I said, and I was happy with the way it was presented, with the exception of the music. That's because I very, very heavily vetted all of the people who contacted me. Dozens of them. And I said no to them. Even the ones that were referred to me. Mark Sargent referred someone to me, a newspaper. And I had a discussion with them. And the more difficult it is to have those discussions, the more hostile I become. If you're not easy to just get on the phone and have a chat with, then why would I be interested in standing in front of you with a camera for the first time, having never spoken to you before? Why would I do that? Why is it you only want to converse with me via email? Why is that? Yeah? Because I'll hear it in your voice when I talk to you on the phone. I'll know your motivation regardless of what you say. I can smell a liar. It's not that difficult. Others can't. And they've got plenty of crap to take the piss out of.
Well, I think a key thing to your growth would be if you could, do that thing with Eddie Bravo. If you can arrange something like that. He did say he wanted you on, correct? If you could work that out, man.
I'm sure he will eventually. I'm sure at some point when it's convenient for Eddie Bravo, he'll get in touch with me and go, "Do you want to be on my podcast?" And I'll go, "Of course I do." But in the meantime, yeah, that may happen at some stage. But it's not like I'm going to go to the bank on it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I might do an interview with somebody who likes me at some stage that's a lot more popular than I am. Great, if it happens. In the meantime, you can't let that be your focus. Those are one of the extras that I was talking about in the pre-show when I was saying, as long as I see steady increase in terms of watch time, viewers, that's subscribers, and views, then I'm happy. And if there's extras on top of that, like a big name personality doing an interview with me, then marvelous. I'll take it because it will be extra on top of that. That's what you really want, isn't it? I got a shout out. So I can't remember, one of my subscribers or members left me a message this morning. First thing I do is check messages. Someone said, Mark Sargent gave you a shout out. So I'm like, all right, okay. I'll do a quick search and see what I can find from Mark Sargent that's come out recently. And the Taboo Conspiracy video came out where he'd sat and listened to Mark Sargent do a lecture, so to speak. And he filmed it and published it. So shout out to Ben. I gave your video a like, left a few comments. Hopefully it helps you in the algo. Anyway, got to about the 15-minute mark, and Mark Sargent praises, as it's come up in subject today, Whitsitt as being a fantastic debater. And he says, and you might also like Nathan Oakley. He's very much an acquired taste. He's very abusive. But you might like to check him out too. Whitsitt doesn't swear at people. That was his plug for me.
Gee, thanks a lot, Mark.
Yes, thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it.
Well,
First of all, now I renege everything I said about him. I no longer like Mark Sargent.
No, don't be like that.
Turn
Don't be
around
like
and
that.
say,
Don't be like that. I've built
wait
up
a
a
second.
but how-
reputation.
Just talk to them.
Stop. I've built up a
Let me
reputation.
explain.
Before you do, I've built up a reputation, Neil. And that reputation obviously precedes me. Now, the fact that in the last recent years, let's just say, I've had a bit of a change of heart in terms of my attitude, less swearing, less abusive, if you want to call it that. Obviously, any example that were provided by Mark in that particular context, I could defend, or I would like to hope I could defend. Maybe you would say otherwise. The point is that is obviously the reputation that precedes me. I'll have to do some work to alter that perception, won't I, Neil? I can't take it as just blame Mark.
no, I'm talking about, I'm not going to defend what you do, and you have changed a lot. But to say that Whitsitt is an excellent debater, really?
Yeah, in the same way Charles Manson's a great cult leader.
Well, hold on. I'd like to toot Whitsitt's horn for him. Name someone else better that's not within this, within FED.
As far as what? Debating ether or flat earth? Because he's behind the game. He's still proving the globe wrong. So to me, well, that's why Mark Sargent would say that. He's still probably trying to constantly proving the globe wrong. He don't know anything about celestial navigation or the Black Swan, does he? Are people stuck in 2015?
not everybody's keeping up with the flat earth debate. Mark Sargent proved that by saying Nathan's too abusive. But as far as you've seen outside of our little corner of the internet, who debates this topic the best? If not Witsit.
There's a bunch of guys on 24/7 that are pretty good. Miggy.
Whenever I hear Witsit debate, what I hear, or what stands out to me, is the long gobbledygook words that he uses. And it reminds me of Charles Manson. If you've ever heard Charles Manson talk, he inserts strings of nonsensical words to sound, just to confuse the audience, to confuse the person he's communicating with. Witsit does the same thing.
Isn't that called sophistry?
How about sophistry? It's just a way of communicating. That poem I did was to take the piss out of that very thing, right? The manifestation, sensation,
Well, I mean,
the vibration. That is what I'm talking about.
I won't disagree with you there, but as far as people that their videos are we regularly go over, Witsit stands above what is considered a mainstream flat earth, head and shoulders above the rest of them.
Were you going somewhere there with that, John?
I just don't think hating on the dude really helps the situation, you know?
Yeah, very much crabs in a bucket.
It's just right. And because there's a bad perception of Nathan from where he used to abuse people because flat earthers were being abused and he was showing a mirror, people have taken that and they're still going with it, but that we're not going to get away from that by abusing Witsit. That's not going to help.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly. More power to you, Witsit. But acting like crabs in a bucket, that's not going to help anyone. You know that term, Neil? Crabs in a bucket?
Yes.
If you're unfamiliar, audience-wise, with crabs in a bucket, it's the idea that if you catch crabs and you chuck them all in a bucket, you don't need to put a lid on the bucket. Because if any of the crabs try to escape and climb at the side of the bucket, one of the other crabs will grab it by the leg and pull it back down again. "50 people watching." I accidentally scheduled this as a members stream because I just took the last show I'd done. And yeah, so it didn't get any advertising prior to the show going live, unfortunately. So please share the show if you've only just got here. Very warm welcome to all the 50 people who are here. Should be about double that if I'd advertised it as a public show, but that's my bad. I will get back into the flow of these things, having had literally a couple of weeks without electricity. You know, a couple of weeks, 10 days. Yeah, we'll bring back the housekeeping questions. I think at least a couple of them a day. I think that's a good way of keeping us subject-wise on track with what's gone on. Because I already feel like I haven't introduced the audience to anything that might have happened in the subject arena over the last couple of days. What I've seen, because I've actually had time to be sat in front of my iPad actually watching a bit of YouTube over the last couple of days, no joke, it's been actually quite nice, been quite relaxed, was a regurgitation of the refraction argument. So, again, Taboo Conspiracy has typified this with an address to the general demeanour from our, let's call them, globe brethren, who are regurgitating 2016 arguments about refraction, where we came up with derogatory statements in regards to the argument and how it was summed up back then, with examples like the clock, right? I give that to the audience now. There's a couple of gentlemen staring across a bay at a clock. Flat earther and a glober. Flat earther says, check out that clock. can almost see the time on it. It's that clear. And the guy next to him, globe believer, says that's not a clock. Says it's a slightly looming, non-standard refraction, holographic projection of a clock from behind the reified physical geometric sphere-edge horizon that is blocking our view of that clock, so it's therefore not there. What you are seeing is a mirage. It's a refracted clock. It's not really a clock. It's not really there. It's a mirage. The clock is behind the Earth curve that we can't see. That is the disclaimer given to a flat earther when a flat earther and a glober look across the bay and just see a clock. Because to a globe believer, it's not just a clock. It's a mirage of a clock from beyond the geometric mathematics that he believes exists but cannot see. So he has to make explanations and disclaimers for why he can see something that shouldn't be there according to his maths, but you simply see with your own eyeballs. Now that scenario leads into flat earthers, in this case, Taboo Conspiracy, addressing that scenario and rebutting it by showing examples where, no, in this example, the light's not as bent as Earth curve would suggest it is to bend it back flat. But they're both claiming refraction. It's like Black Swan. The moment they decry their physical geometric limitation to their view marked with an X and labelled horizon in their maths, it's game over. That's it. Refraction's a concession. In fact, someone said that in Taboo Conspiracy's comments. Quote, refraction is a concession, end quote. True. They Black Swan.
I thought everybody knew that.
Clearly not. I mean, obviously Taboo Conspiracy is aware of that.
Get a dip angle from a refracted level?
No. No, it's the end of the geometry. Refraction's a concession. The end of the globe. It was true in 2020, even when I didn't realise it, when the penny dropped 6 months later for me. It's taken 4 years, sorry, for the general, what would you call this, pond of people that are around us, globe or flat, to start to cotton on to the power of what refraction as a rebuttal actually does to the globe claim. People are just starting to get it 4 years later. Meanwhile, you're going to need a flat earth for that. Differential dip calculation.
Well, that's because they weren't keeping up with the flat earth debate. If they were keeping up with the flat earth debate, it wouldn't have taken them 4 years.
Yeah, that's the thing. Eye level has to be a horizontal plane of reference for you to get an angle to the plane of reference we call sea level to calculate Earth curve. They need a flat Earth more than we do.
They need a flat Earth more than we do. That's the point moving into 2024. Your globe claims start with elevation angle measurements off a flat Earth. A flat Earth that has to be flat. It's a prerequisite. It's a requirement for the measurement. Then you get the measurement. Then you derive your globe. All roads lead to a flat Earth because that's how Earth is. We're not mucking around anymore in 2024. Earth's measured flat. How it is.
But that's why I said you should be thanking this McKeegan guy, because everything he brought was flat Earth proof.
He's got popular in a time where the doublespeak that he has to come out with is so glaring to, or it could be at least subtly there to his audience who are there to affirm their own globe belief. But the contradictions are definitely there, glaring to us. Well, all we can do is point these things out, right? That is what we do. But he's posted it.
It's odd, though. But
go on.
I was going to say it's odd, though, because when we point out that the emperor has no clothes on, everyone turns to us and asks us why would they lie, or tries to, give an explanation for why we can't see his clothes. That's the reality of the world.
That is awesome, John. I am going to steal that immediately. So
that was really good.
It was good, wasn't it? Not just why would they lie, shout out to Chocolate saying, but why would they lie about the Emperor's new clothes? I could kiss you. That is absolutely beautiful. Did you just come up with that on the spot right now?
Yeah.
That was epic. Great mind. I absolutely love it. Yeah. Why would they lie about him having invisible clothes? Yeah. Why would they lie about the sky vacuum in violation of natural law? Why would they lie about it? Who cares? It stands in direct contradiction of the second law of thermodynamics to have a trip to the moon. But why would they lie about it? I don't know and don't care. Both of the electricians that I had over the last week asked about the moon landing. Neither knew what I did. The first cowboy one was like, "You don't believe in the moon landing, do you?" I was like, "No." The second one started asking about, he phrased it differently. He was like asking about people who don't believe in the moon landing. So he phrased it differently, but both had the same subject on their mind. And when he asked me, the second electrician, who was doing a much better job, I'll be honest, I just told him about the second law of thermodynamics. Now, that was it. He brought up aliens. That was how he got onto the moon landing with the second electrician, I believe. Talking about aliens. And then it went on to the moon landing. And I was like, no, it's a natural law violation to say that they've made a trip, a journey via a sky vacuum, gas-filled space. It's a law of nature. He was more intrigued.
What was his response? What was his response to that?
Went very quiet. The original starting point for that discussion as a whole was about the calendar. And I think it started off with me explaining who Augustine was. Anyway, that was how that discussion unfolded. It was like, I put him off. I want to keep him as an electrician. So he's like, well, what kind of YouTube channel? Usual answer, cosmology. Okay, I'll check you out. I was like, maybe don't do that. Probably hearing it going, what, you're discouraging him? I'm like, yeah. And I gave him a reason. I said, I don't want to ruin your day. That is my general response to people in person.
It would do that.
Hold on a second. Wait a second. What?
Told him
You don't want to ruin his day? How about make his day, Nathan?
What? Your average normie doesn't want to wake up and realise that a lot of what they've been taught, again, part of the discussion raised by him, not me, is lies. So that's how I phrased it to him. Look, a lot of what we discuss and debate on the show is about the contradictions that we were taught in school. And his response, oh, well, because obviously everything we get taught in school is true. I'm like, well, exactly. No, not everything we get taught in school is true. But we still get taught it. And that is what we debate. And I did ruin his day to a certain subtle extent when I told him you can't have gas pressure without a container. I essentially debunked space. And when I did, he, as I say, went very quiet. But he asked. I didn't proactively tell him. It's unavoidable when someone asks you what you do, isn't it? Say again, John, sorry.
That means you got him to think about it. Now you've set a domino in motion. You can't take that back.
Yes, exactly. And you can't help do that. That's what I was about to say. When someone asks you, what do you do? And they're standing in a fully acoustically treated room, looking at the ceiling going, that is a crazy ceiling. And you go, yeah, it's all acoustic treatment. What's it for? I'm a YouTuber. What's your subject? Cosmology. Tell me about your subject. I don't want to ruin your day. Please fix my radiator. I am freezing cold. That was my answer.
Yeah, but see, I disagree with that. What are you becoming, Bev? You say loud and proud, yeah, cosmology, I'm a flat earther, and we debate the nature of our reality, as opposed to what we were taught in school, that we live on a spinning water ball. Come on, Nathan, get a pair.
No.
Yeah, it'd be a great time to have someone become a flat earther, wouldn't it? Or an anti-flat earther in the middle of fixing his electrical.
Exactly.
Time.
It's a weapon at that point that I'm using against somebody when I don't intend to do that. And when you're talking about average Joe Normie, who may have a reasonable handle on what he thinks is a conspiracy subject, And you can just, yeah, take the head off with, no, that's just how Earth's measured. Now, I will do that in people's shows. I shared one with Brian, and he was like, what the hell is this? I'll discuss it when he gets here, if he gets here today. But I sent him a video of calling prank radio stations, I think it's the name of the YouTube channel. And I happened to find my way across this guy several years ago and just laugh. I just thought he was very funny when he was prank calling radio stations, because that's all he does. And he happened to be having a live stream yesterday. I joined the live stream, said hello, and he knew who I was because I've left him a few comments, so presumably he's looked me up. And he was like, oh, you're a flat earther. Why are you a flat earther? And I told him, I was like, because that's how Earth's measured. And the globe beliefs come from those measurements. And his reply was, well, that's not true. Lots of people believe in the globe for lots of different reasons. That was his response. Now, I'm happy to deal with that kind of response. I didn't challenge him. I just went, like, I wasn't talking about anything interesting. He was talking about Michael Jordan, so I just tuned out because I wasn't interested in what he was on about at that particular moment. But obviously his interaction with me was slightly, if not disagreeable, but combative. And you don't want that when you've got somebody who's helping you out, Neil. Now you're saying, well, no, in your career. Well, no, if you compare it to, say, MMA, as we were talking about Eddie Bravo in the pre-show. Well, if you compare it to a fighter, they've got a skill that can cause somebody damage on the spot. And they have to be very wary of that, wary of potential legal repercussions as a result of their dangerous ability in that instance. Well, I'm not suggesting that mentally I'm going to incapacitate somebody by laying a flat earth slap down on them for no good reason. I'm not going to physically ruin their day or put them in hospital. But mentally, it will ruin their day. And by ruin their day, I mean cause potential pain. 1 in 10 flat earthers I have spoken to has expressed joy as a result of finding this information out. I'm one of them. Chocolate's one of them. There's a few others that go, yeah, found it out. I was like, wow, that is so cool. How amazing. And as my journey has progressed specifically, I go, well, that means I don't know what that is then. That's so cool. I might be the one to find out. How ace. Not a lot of people are like that, though. Most people, even though they recognize that it might be the case that they've been deceived or recognize the simple truth that Earth's measured flat, it still makes them question a lot of other things. It's the conspiracy cat's reaction. But that might mean that many of the understood to be true principles in my day-to-day life are now up for scrutiny. It throws the whole thing into disarray. You have to suddenly question everything. That's the reaction of many. And like I say, don't want that when I'm freezing cold and I've been sat in a cold, unheated, unelectrified building for 4 days at that particular time. No, it wasn't. It was about a week at that time. I'd got 2 of them working, but I wanted the one sat next to me working. And that's what he was working on at the time, Neil. You say no. Everyone needs slap smacking.
I got you. So in other words, you guys are going to take a chance on the hell with this flat earther. Let him freeze his ass off. I got you.
I don't think as a professional worker he would have done that anyway. If I'd have turned around and told him I was some extreme right-wing whatever, he'd have just carried on with his job and invoiced me at the end of it and gone, I don't like that guy, maybe I won't work for him again. But that might also be the case if you find out someone's a flat earther. People do have that stronger reaction, like you're a freaking Nazi or something.
So I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with the chat, but I just got Seafoam to admit that the geometric horizon is the false horizon.
We only have one horizon. The horizon in there begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve mathematics is marked with an X, labelled horizon and geometric in nature. It's claimed to block boats and buildings. If someone suggests, basically concedes, and you're right, that it's not the true horizon, what is it, the second horizon? The one we don't see? Yeah, we know it's not seen. It's not Earth curve. We don't see Earth curve by your concession. Yeah, we know. We've known for some time. It's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't have a horizon on a globe.
The old slope-a-dope. Definition of horizontal would be a lack of deviation, whereas the description of curve or slope, or curve specifically, is the rate of change in a slope. You can't have a horizon on a globe. because you will always have a curve, defying the very principle of what a horizon is. Shout out to Quantum Eraser with his slope-a-dope. There is exciting
Shout
stuff.
out retracted.
Retracted? Why?
He's been getting on my nerves lately.
Ew, Quantum Eraser.
Yeah.
People's attitude change as spring comes along. I do this every year. I try to keep my head down during winter because people fall out. People get irate real quick during winter. And then spring comes and everyone, kind of comes out of hibernation, and the miserable sod that they've been over winter gets dropped and they become a bit more friendly and amiable. In my experience, I mean, I'm not that old, but old enough to know that people get miserable in winter.
Speaking about falling out, how did that 10-hour show go?
Wonderful.
A lot of people stuck around. I was on it the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I shouldn't have done it because the computer was working, but the electricity wasn't. And maybe it would have only damaged the power supply if something had gone wrong. But realistically, looking back on the pictures with all the wires hanging out of the fuse board, probably shouldn't have ran that show. But I really, really wanted to test the computer to see that it was all perfect. And you can't get much more of a testament to stability if it can do a 10-hour show live and recorded and not have a single issue the entire time. I think it dropped 160 frames or something, which is probably just a wonky moment in the internet as opposed to the computer. But yeah, I really wanted to do that, and I'm glad that I did, because now I don't have to think about it again. I just didn't. This morning I didn't even restart the computer to change the sound settings and started the show. I was just like, I don't even feel the need to restart the computer. I'm not going to bother. And here we are, live with 60 people.
Is it life grand?
I'm feeling very positive moving forward, Neil. I am feeling very positive. This show is not a shakedown show, which that 10-hour live stream was. Proper shakedown, not of the electricity, but of the computer. And now that that's all done and dusted, I'm content sat here, looking forward to the rest of this week. And because I did manage to get in a couple of live shows at the end of last week, albeit with one interrupted because a man was coming to fix a heater, I've got another show to publish. So I've got another show that will go out for Wednesday. This show will go out this week on the second channel on probably Thursday. And then I'll, over the next week, get the schedule back in order so it's as it was, with regular shows going out all week and weekend on either this or the second channel. But like I say, that'll take about a week to get back in order, and then everything's back to normal. Just regular shows, and we can start maybe doing as we left off, if we can keep Righteous on our side without you annoying him too much. He can take us to other servers that he's familiar with. Instead of getting people join that want to, chat skank and then join the voice chat and not talk because they're in a library. A lot of what we did just before I had major issues was down to Righteous. A little bit was down to Paul, because when Paul was hanging around, he lost his temper with me a bit when I was under a lot of stress, because he was asking me to publish to members what was going on with updates, and I kind of ignored him because I had other things on my plate. And then he was like, well, if you don't want my help. And then he left that particular Skype group. So, but anyway, that aside, Paul, for a certain period, was also doing that, which is to say, providing links to various Discord servers that I could just jump in and join. But hopefully Righteous will continue to do that, and we'll spread our wings through other servers. Along with other things, but we'll mull those over as time progresses. Although we'd normally do it in housekeeping, has there been anything over the last weekend or week that we've not caught? With the exception of Refraction coming back around for about the 20th time.
A helicopter lands, you see its landing gear begin to vanish into the mirage. This is only one of a few different ways bottom first obstruction occurs on our flat Earth.
I'll do a quick plug for this as we talked about it earlier. That was a little clip from Taboo Conspiracy's video, so check it out. It is a regurgitation of a 2016 premise that has been taken apart at its base by the Black Swan. But as is always the case, and Taboo will testify to this as much as I can, these things are cyclical. They just don't die. They just come back 2 years later. So you end up recovering stuff. I mean, on the upside, for people like myself and Taboo Conspiracy, we've got all the footage all stashed and all ready to go now, haven't we? So we can react really quickly to things like this. Anyway, check it out. Link's going by in the live stream chat now. So this video is called How to Fake the Curvature and Still Get Promoted by YouTube by Taboo Conspiracy. So please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. He's a friendly, he's not a bad guy. But Brian specifically wanted us to cover a particular aspect of this. Let's just go to his timestamp. I picked that bit out, but I'll go to this 14 something. I think it's because Brian actually gets discussed. 14:30. Close enough.
Possible to show why. The problem with all of this is that objects disappearing due to being unresolvable don't disappear from the bottom up like flat earthers claim.
What? I think we've already addressed this in a different video, but nevertheless.
For example, I had Brian's Logic arguing with me a while ago, saying that
I'm not Brian's Logic, Flatzoid, or any other person you have made videos about. Claiming to debunk one person's words does not debunk the entire body of knowledge that is out there. Oftentimes when angular resolution is up for debate, globe proponents along with some flat earth proponents will fail to mention the effects a visible surface has on your perspective. Any visible flaw, such as land and water, wall or ceiling, will compress your visual angles when looking along it, depending on the distance from the surface. When there is no visible surface, such as looking up at the sky, your visual angles remain open.
And all that's true. However, we've got no claim. We've got no horse in this race. Then, their claim, which does not have perspective in it, doesn't have a requirement for us to explain how perspective works. So what do I mean by that? When we detail a claim that we make in a positive way for flat Earth, we can provide evidence that supports our claim. The sextant on screen now is a prime example of this. We say Earth's measured flat. Here's a tool that measures Earth flat. There you go. There's a pretty simple explanation for our claim in the positive with evidence to back it in the form of a tool that can measure Earth and is used for navigation. Okay. When they, by comparison, make their globe positive claim that Earth has a sphere edge for a horizon, that positive claim comes with a debunk from us that says, no, it isn't. Here's an example. And them saying, no, that's just refraction. Their mitigation for their positive claim. Now, at that point, back in 2016-17, we then move forward to explain why we have an optical resolution limit called the horizon and how things disappear. But we have no positive claim alongside that to need to do that. We don't need to explain why hashtag shit shrinks. We don't need to. I'm not proving Earth's flat by things disappearing smaller into the distance or bottom first against the deck. Oh, I can explain it, as can Taboo. But we don't need to. We are not making a positive claim. It becomes a false dichotomy when we do. Right, cutting edge of flat Earth debate here. So even Ben is not, free from critique, even though he's absolutely one of our most friendly supporters in that regard. Ben's about as good as they get. Doesn't mean he's not open to critique, and I'm sure Ben, knowing him, he would thank us for it. It becomes a false dichotomy when we start to move into our advanced knowledge, which we do have, of how the optical resolution limit works, when we don't have a positive claim alongside it to need to do so. Just point out that their claim in orthographic view does not have optical resolution at all. There is no perspective in Earth curve maths. And how do you demonstrate that in the most succinct way to an audience member who who may not be appreciative of that. Well, you point out that in the feet and inches value offered up in the earth curve maths for an item in the distance, it does not change with distance. A 10-foot building is 10 foot at all distances in the earth curve maths, ignoring angular resolution limitations. That's perspective. Now, at that point, I have debunked their positive claim, pointing out how you form a horizon or why things disappear bottom up first simply puts me in a position to have to defend that in false dichotomy. There is no need. Hello, Adam.
Afternoon, guys. Still working, so sorry about it.
That's okay. That's okay. We're laying down gems here. It's off the back of people like Ben covering these subjects that we haven't covered for quite a number of years as a result of the Black Swan that we can point out how these arguments progress. And we do need people like Ben to go through those arguments in the way that they were formatted back then. That is to say, you claim Earth curve horizon, we claim no perspective, you claim refraction, we show our perspective works. Well, that still leaves you in a position where an audience member can listen to that argument and go, I'm undecided. Is it perspective or is it Earth curve? False dichotomy. Well, to hear that laid out as it was back in 2017 or 2016 is nice to be able to say, now we can move the argument forward rather than reposition it in false dichotomy. So rather than the example I've given, I won't give it a third time. You've just heard it from Taboo. They claim Earth curve. We say, here's an example of a debunking. Let's say it's the Black Swan. They claim refraction. That is a concession. At that point, the argument is over. There's no need to offer a response in false dichotomy for how the horizon is formed. If it's not Earth curve, it's refraction, then it's not Earth curve. Meanwhile, I can then take that horizon and show how Earth is measured flat with it. That would be take it to a new claim that takes an aspect, no pun intended, of their argument, which is the horizon, and utilize it to demonstrate how Earth is proven to be measured flat. Not offer their explanation for the horizon and how it's formed when they say the horizon is Earth curve. We say the horizon is utilized to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Earth is a prerequisite flat plane for the principles employed when doing that to work. Proving Earth is being measured, utilized, and demonstrated as a flat plane. Earth is measured flat. That doesn't mean I explain the perspective of the horizon. Don't need to. It's not my claim. It's theirs that failed, that we debunked. Now we stop. Now we use that same tool, the horizon, to show Earth is flat. Because it is. If you want to get fancy, you can then show how that flat plane that I've just proven, prerequisite requirement for measuring elevation angle measurements, is utilized to give them their globe inference. That is to say, the minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris would give them their equatorial value and radial value for their sphere when measuring a flat plane. Alternatively, you can use their Alberuni R, that's radius, derivation, of eye level to surface level. That's flat Earth and parallel eye level, giving you a difference you can infer, gives you a point below surface level called Earth curve, marked with an X and labelled horizon by Alberuni. Later to be described in the same manner in Begging the Question, Proof of Nothing, Perspective Hijacking, Earth Curve Mathematics. You can show them how their maths utilised a flat Earth measurement to come to fruition, to come to pass. They needed to measure a flat Earth. Again, doesn't mean I explain how perspective works, in spite of my understanding of it. Shows how Earth's measured. Not perspective and the horizon, which doesn't prove anything. Just proves how art works. If you want to use their form of rebuttal, I'll use it against the false dichotomy that's been created by a flat earther. Nah, it's only useful for art. Doesn't prove Earth's flat though, does it? Meanwhile, a prerequisite to describe perspective, mathematically, will require a flat plane. But it's not in their maths, so who cares? It's their claim, not ours. Our claim is we measure Earth flat with the horizon. That's what it is useful for. It saves lives at sea when doing so. I wish I'd advertised this as public before I started the show. 60 people watching, that's abysmal. Please share the show. Say a few hellos. OBE lines, nice to have you. Eddie Bravo was on MMA Fighter. Is Eddie Bravo on MMA Fighter? I don't know if Eddie Bravo's ever done MMA fighting himself. I know he runs a dojo, and Very successful edit. What's it called? Ninth Planet or something? As for whether or not he's actually got on the octagon, I don't know. Possibly. I'm sure he's sparred with people.
Yes, he has. You do not teach unless you have competed. So yes, he has.
Shout out to the Price of Adam. Nice to see you. Divergent Droid. Good. It's good to have you. Doing your exceptional moderation job as always. Caprica Soul, nice to see you in there. What we got? Price of Adam's just shared.
Hey,
Thank you, Adam. Go ahead, John.
yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you doing the shout outs, but can you hear me fine now? My meat keeps crashing on me for some reason.
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Loud and clear.
Your what keeps crashing?
Meat. M-double-E-T.
Oh boy.
Not M-E-A-T.
How is
Just for
that
information,
happening?
guys, Eddie Bravo is a jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's not an MMA fighter. Just for information.
Not right now, he's not. He's a teacher. But he has competed.
He has competed, but in Brazilian jiu-jitsu is what I'm saying. He's not an MMA fighter. He has a lot of MMA friends.
Gotcha. The specific question was, has he competed in MMA? So, yes.
No, he hasn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
There you go, OBE lines. Check him out, actually. OBE lines is a videographer. He does actually do live streams. Subscribe today. You see him on the list? Somewhere in there. There he is. So tomorrow, we're going to do 2 housekeeping questions. Whether Righteous likes it or not.
I just got a Glober to say that the geometric horizon is not the real horizon.
There's only one
Why don't
horizon.
this guy get on the show?
He's in his chat skanking. Yeah, if it's not, there's only one horizon though. Duncan.
Not according to Scott Mackey.
No, yes, I realize that.
Didn't they hear that you cannot have a horizon on a globe?
Yeah, we're getting deja vu.
They're not listening.
We've covered this. But fair enough, the guy's in there chat skanking. More power to him.
It's just so easy to get them to contradict themselves within a few sentences.
Why are these people so attached to it? I mean, what leads them to being an anti-flat earther and defending it with double-speak nonsense that contradicts itself? What puts you in that position? What makes a Dave McKeegan or a Simon Down?
Consensus.
Fear.
I'm going to go with the latter,
Fear.
John. Fear. Yeah, I think so. Conspiracy Cats will always be the perfect description of this when he spoke with Haunted House. There was another guy whose name I can't remember that also basically gave out the same sentiment on an interview where he was all distraught and going, we'd have to question everything. Can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I agree that it's fear, but they're going with consensus in their mind. This is what they're saying. How could everybody be wrong? All the scientists, all the knowledge we have. So I think it's rooted in consensus.
They constantly appeal to the apologetics of the last man. Just flies in the face of primary source research and how you actually find out these things. You go, well, I understood from my teacher that it's a globe. You say it isn't because of X. So I will scratch the surface only as far as I need to undo what you have claimed at a surface level and then regurgitate that back to you. And if you overcome that, I'll do the same thing again. I'll scratch the surface for the last man to overcome it in whatever poor way fashion that they have sought to do so. And with the case of the Black Swan, it's like your rebuttal to it, Refraction, undoes your own claim, but you don't realise that. And even if I point it out to you, you won't acknowledge it. So it's like, okay, you're trapped in a cult. that you are hell-bent on defending. At which point you go, well, who else behaves like that when you're comparing them to cults? Not your average tertiary member. You're talking about the brainwashed principals that go out and brainwash others after indoctrination from someone like Manson or whoever, a cult leader. They're going to have their right-hand men and women that go out and do the same thing. And they are brainwashed. So our comparative debaters in this field, your Simon Dans, your Dave McKeegan's, your Professor Dave Explains, are the definition of brainwashed individuals. What a world, eh? 62
When I was
people
10
watching?
years old,
Say again, sorry?
my parents used to laugh at me when I was 10 years old because I thought wrestling was real. And I used to get very angry at them for questioning the validity of the World Wrestling Federation and laughing at me because I knew it was real. How could it not be real? And then even when I'd see the wrestlers in promos for movies in 5 minutes' time, I refused to put two and two together. So it reminds me of that, to be honest.
Yeah,
Right.
but it goes even deeper. Then when you do find out, you start making excuses for them. Yeah, but they still have to throw each other around like that. It takes a lot of work and technique. So technically, it is real.
Yeah. The people who defend the globe are akin to the people defending wrestling as being real. Or Santa Claus, but Santa Claus is a much more extreme example. I think it flies over the head of most people because most people have been through that. Whereas wrestling, your majority average normie isn't going to fail to appreciate the comparison with the globe when you say, no, at one point, your average 6-year-old does believe that wrestling is real. But when you tell him it isn't, and then you start defending why it is still real when it is not, that's your average globe defender. Your average anti-flat earther.
Nathan, these are 300-pound men that throw each other around, suplex in, figure four in. Doesn't matter that it's choreography, that it's all choreographed. It doesn't mean anything that they're in the actors union. It's real.
And so's John Wick. Many a funeral. Julio. Right, it's been a slow day. You can expect these things when you start going back into the role. Tomorrow I'll
Good morning,
definitely...
Nathan.
Hello. Who's that?
Hi, can I just say something real quick? I do have to go. It's this Stacy. You were saying something earlier, and I just want to remind people, not on here, not these Glovers that you go back and forth like Xanax, Ruhif, blah blah blah. Love them, bless all y'all. But when you're out here talking to people, you're shaking people's foundation. It is their core. It's what people have been taught. So I do try to, as much as it's like freaking annoying, frustrating, when people don't want to listen, try to have some compassion because they're brainwashed. I'm gonna be honest, I was brainwashed. Okay, and it's gonna take a lot for people to come to that truth. Some of us come up to it faster than others, and just remember that, please, because it took me a minute. It took my best friend, 10 years for me with her. I'm still learning, so I appreciate you all, but just remember, it's people's foundation, and unfortunately, So that's all I want to say, and thank you for your time.
Are you suggesting that I should have more empathy for the general masses because they've been brainwashed?
You know me, Nathan, a little bit. I'm a little bit of that. Let's have a little bit of hope. Let's have a little bit of love because people have kind of lost that, especially in the last 4 years. It's been a different place out here. I'm not saying give sympathy to these people that you're talking to online. They don't actually deserve any. Enough is enough after so many freaking years. I mean, are we going to hit our head against the wall continuously? So yeah, I don't say give any sympathy to those people because you know what you're dealing with. But people out here in the real world, different story. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but Nathan don't even want to shake their foundation. He doesn't want to let them know he's a flat earther because he doesn't want to ruin their day.
No, I don't want to ruin a serviceman who's giving me warmth and his day specifically, when he's got a screwdriver in his hand and he's working on a piece of equipment on his belly on the ground. That person's day, I don't want to ruin in that specific moment. But the conversation, Neil, what you weren't reading between the lines is, did I have the conversation with him? Did I rock his foundation and tell him that the sky vacuum wasn't real? Yes, I did. I just didn't tell him at the moment he asked, because he was on his belly with a screwdriver at that moment. So at that moment, I went, I don't want to ruin your day. Once the module's into my radiator and the cover's on and it's not rattling, then I'll offer you a brew and maybe we'll have a talk about how the sky vacuum's not real. And that is precisely what happened, but without the coffee, he didn't drink coffee.
It's funny how you took him to that one.
I tend to take people... My soft exposure is sky vacuum, not flat earth.
That's true.
It's mine too.
Yeah, I think it's too much, too soon, if you just take people straight to Earth's measured flat. They lie to you in school because that religion keeps people well and truly under control, like every single thing government does ever. That's its purpose. But one of the ways they keep you under control is not by an overt religion like Christianity in the church, but by heliocentrism, a religion from the church. But it's not done in an overt way. It's very surreptitiously forced upon you in school. And the way it came to fruition was by measuring a flat earth and tracking the stars' movements and measuring it on a flat earth and then developing a sphere model from those measurements. But we don't actually stand on a sphere. If you went through that in that way, number one, I wouldn't expect to get to the end of the sentence. Number two, it would ruin the person's day. They go from being on a ball to being on a flat earth if they understood there and then, rather than cognitively brace against it instantly and go to, this person's stupid, this person's a flat earther, not this person's making sense and telling me how it's measured. People don't.
Did it ruin your day?
No, it was wonderful. I look back with an extremely fond memory of watching Math Powerland and go, wow, I'm going to wake my wife up. This is awesome. When it shook her up. Earth's flat. That isn't the reaction of most people.
Yeah, but I think once you take him to gas pressure without containment and they're thinking about it and you got them, I'm not saying right then and there when the guy's working on your equipment, but if you follow that up with the Black Swan and celestial navigation, it's locked, game, set, match.
I'm going to disagree in some way. Some people maybe, but when that whole Global Lite tour happened, when I spoke to someone specifically who was on it, the outcome of that was good. It was brilliant, actually. But most people didn't come to the conclusion about the shape of the earth. Those conversations went deeper about what was going on in the corruption of the world. There were a few that stood out in that tour that was quite a lot of mileage that actually had that talk right back and forth and wanted more. And you could see that they're going to go back to finding out and diving into it. And they did. They came online and they talked to some of us on the server. That did happen. But when you're talking about when you look at it as a whole, no, it didn't go there. It's going to take time for those people and seeds planted. Not everybody just goes, oh, okay, you told me a piece of information that kind of sounds logical and I'm going to take it and run with it. A lot of people take it and go, I got to go back to my life now. Talk to you later. You know, screwdriver, I got to work. I'm doing something. So Nathan is right. There's times that you have to use this information and use it correctly because not everybody's in the moment, whether they're working or their daily life, ready for this foundation to again be rocked, literally.
And with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a massive thank you to today's Discord and Jeepers panels for making today's live show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
bloody day.